For me, home education is a way of living, and I make time for myself on my own little projects that I have in mind, you know, besides writing to government bodies. I do all sorts of weird, wonderful things, and I always make sure that if I'm doing anything formal, when I say formal, I mean 10 minutes, tell me what a preposition is, and there's the lesson, 10 minutes. Okay, there you go, we've done it. Now let's do a song of all across after along among around against and list the 42 most used prepositions. Done, we're done. Mathematics is much more fun the second time round than the first time round, because I've got a boy who's really into it, and now he's 8 and I'm just going through the entire I have this really groovy book from Singapore Maths. I did Singapore Maths with my daughter. I don't think it worked with her. I haven't pursued it with my son. I thought, well, I know enough, I can just do it myself. And I use a targeting maths book or Life of Fred, and then facilitate with that. But he's got a knack for it. I couldn't believe how quickly he learned the timetables. You know, his dad is a very bright man, and I'm the stupid one in the family now. So most definitely the stupid one. And I have to be on my toes with my kids. They can nail me left, right, and center. But they make me better. They make me a better person. But with the maths, I found this sort of syllabus that showed you all of the different skill sets required for mathematics. And mathematics is one of those subjects that you really can teach in any way, shape or form that you like, and you can use any curriculum across the world, because given that we use mathematics, the language of mathematics, to talk to aliens, I figure it doesn't matter which curriculum you use. So whichever one makes you happy, whichever one makes the aliens happy, you can use that. So at this stage, because he's quite advanced, I am just quietly going through this booklet, just flipping through the pages, going through whole numbers, going through whatever it is, the geometry, and then the, you know, listing all the polygons and making sure that I've ticked each of the sections. I don't know what I'm going to do with maths after that, because he's going to be going with it, and I'm not going to be able to keep up. So I think I'll hand the job over to Dad after that and say, you did 4-unit maths. This is your problem now. And that's the thing. So for newbies who are going, I don't know anything, I'm stupid. Look, I couldn't spell when I started home educating. But guess what I did? I learned alongside my child, and I loved it. I knew nothing about history, and yet I specialized as a medieval musician. You know, a specialty period of music, 1,000 years worth of music. And yet, as I was an institutionally educated child who was interested in history, I didn't get that history education that I wanted. And so when I went to the Conservatoire of Music, I was very lucky to audition and get in. I was really having to work hard to pack in all of the history that I missed, whilst trying to learn Italian so that I could read treatises that were written in the 1600s or 16th century in Italian to try and learn how to play authentically in that genre, period, country, nationality, all of that. So when I started doing the story of the world, which is the history program I've chosen to do with my children for the first 4 years, oh man, I have learned history. I know history so well now. I love it. I have so much I can talk to people about history. I absolutely adore it. I have developed such a love of it. I now read biographies of famous people. I've just been reading one about Catherine the Great. Oh my Lord, she was a hoot. That is well worth reading about. But I didn't come to that until after I did the primary syllabus of my daughter. And so now when I come back and do it with my son, I do it in much the same way because of the way that the story world presents the stories. No, it's much the same way. That's what's so good about home education. There are so many really great syllabuses that you can completely rely on to give a really good basis for your child to develop on, and then make their own self-motivation to learn whatever it is they want to do. Because my daughter was very challenging to tell what to do. Very, very challenging few years, and I would sort of sneak in writing, for example. She couldn't stand writing, didn't want to write. I was very nervous about it because I was an English teacher, and I thought, you've got to learn to write. You've got to write to learn to write. Oh my God, what are we going to do? This is terrifying. And I genuinely went through that period. But then I found a program that clicked with her, that made her really enthusiastic. And then in grade 5, 6, she went to school in grade 6, and she finished it off in grade 6. She wrote a 24-page magazine covering every text type you can imagine, on a topic of her choice, through, what was it, Clearwater? Oh no, I can't remember the group. They're the same group that do the write an adventure novel in a year. Do you know the one I mean? Clearwater is the publisher, and it's called Cover Story. Once I gave her that, which had all these videos of this really engaging writer, he was fantastic, she was hooked. So that's that. Yeah, you find something that works, that engages the child. And then I stepped away, and I had nothing to do with her day-to-day education after that. She went to school for year 6. She came home for year 7. She's just finished year 8, if you want to say that. I don't know. We just don't care anymore. But I basically suggested a reading list, and I suggested that she try this angle for learning history, and I suggested that she keep up with Life of Fred maths, and I suggested these things, and she has gone and taken what she wants to do, which is really very good. And she does it herself, and I don't have to do anything. She even does her own reporting.
So do mine.
Yes. So, my son can't do that. But you see, so I really am passionate about getting those first 4 years really good, really solid, good love of literature, a good spelling foundation, good grammar foundation, which will come into its own later on when they want it to. But if they don't even have those, they'll be like me, where I was, I probably wrote like a bit of a lunatic online because my spelling would have been so poor. And, people do judge you on your spelling errors that you make online. And people do judge you if you aren't articulate. All of this came from teaching my children spelling and grammar at the primary level, at the stage 1, stage 2 level. And, so don't have any concerns whatsoever if you don't know anything about geography, or you don't know anything about mathematics, or you don't know anything about grammar. You just buy something that will support your delivery of that, and engage with the child learning side by side. Don't be the teacher, be the student. Be the student with your student, and go on that journey together. And it sounds all very fluffy, but if you think that way, if you think we're always learning, I'm trying to learn and improve myself every day, then the child will view that and go, and they're doing it naturally. You should watch the child for a while and go, oh, yes. I should be more like them, Oh, yeah. What's this about? How does that work? Why? Maybe don't do that. That's annoying. But you know what I mean? You have to just rethink. You're not the teacher. It didn't work for my daughter. It was hopeless. You're the student next to her, and you're going on the journey together. And then you're giving them your experience on top. And that's an invaluable way to educate and live with your family.
So true. So true. And what about your year? Do you plan it in some way, or do you just sort of allow it to have its ebbs and flows and go with?
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah. I definitely have ebbs and flows, but I have a big idea for certainly the primary years. We'll be doing ancient history, then we'll do medieval history, then we'll be doing early modern history, and then we'll be doing modern history. But that's sort of, and then you just progress through various books like, the first language lessons, grammar book. We just work through that until it makes sense to stop. And I believe in finishing the All About Spelling to the 7th level. I think that is well worthwhile. And once I finish all of those major sort of foundational texts, then it's a book list. and they read through those literature, whether it's fiction or non-fiction. And some of the really good programs that really promote that is Build Your Library. I really like what they do. It doesn't work all the time. I did do one. I can't remember what year. I think it was grade 5. I did one, and it was a lot of work. So you can, extract what you want to do, even if you just take their suggestion of the reading list. So for grade 7 for Pi, she went and did the Build Your Library. I suggested to her, well, rather than do medieval history, what if you did the history of science, and so looked at the development of science from the Greeks through to physics, modern day physics and chemistry. And the reading list that came along with that was just superb. Archimedes, and you had Galileo, you had Stephen Hawking, A History of Time. I mean, brilliant. And it was all, she's reading right now, I can't remember the title, but it's something about Charlie Darwin and his adventures. And it's a historical novel, which is great. She loves historical novels. So, that's what she's sort of decided to do. So if you have, so from a point of view of, do I plan things? Well, yeah, I think because I'm all over it, it's not a laborious, do I plan things? It just happens because I know what I'm doing. There's the difference between having experience and a depth of knowledge, because I've done a hell of a lot of research that takes away all of that planning angst. So I observe my son. I am doing it slightly differently to when I did it with my daughter. I am observing where he's at, where his attention span is at, where his interests lie. And I still require a little bit of, formal schooling, which probably takes about 45 minutes to an hour max. And that's me reading a story of the world. That's me watching a documentary with him. That's doing a science experiment. That's having a quick verbal spelling session, writing a sentence, dictation, learning how to do cursive writing and getting the hand strength up, doing some squish ball stuff to get his hands stronger, jumping up and down 5 times and doing a turn, going and doing Aikido, whatever. It doesn't need to be school at home. And in fact, if you do school at home, you are ruining the opportunity that you've got right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand why some people do, because it makes them anxious that they're going to miss an opportunity for something to be taught to their child. And I have gone through that period. I mean, even just today, I was thinking, should I have made more of an effort to instill certain knowledge in their minds? No. If they're interested and they read well, then they'll look it up themselves. So that's just a fact. You cannot force a child to learn. What you can do is create the enthusiasm. You can hook them with your enthusiasm. You can create the environment where they can go, wow, that looks interesting. I'm going to try that today. But you can still have an overall big idea plan in your mind whilst allowing freedom for the child, because some days you just can't do a damn thing with them. You just forget about it and you go, oh, I'm just going to go and paint the chicken coop because you're off to lunch. So I'm going to respect that. Goodbye. And you have to respect your own energy. If you're really run down and tired, give yourself a break, just chill. The kids will be fine. They really will. I am passionate about certain foundational skills being developed in a young age. It is not laborious. It is not, some of the natural learners out there might be screaming, but you're forcing them. No, because they have a routine and they just do it. And it's, sometimes they don't want to do it, and we'll go, well, what can we do instead that sort of ticks this box? And then we negotiate. So, yeah, it's not that hard.
It is. You're absolutely right. It's not. It's just getting through that. Exactly. And once you do it, it's phenomenal.
That's just fabulous.
Yeah.
I love it. I wouldn't live any other way. And I actively encourage my children, if you don't want to be home, you are welcome to go to school. They have several schools here they can go to, but hey, it'll free up my time. It'll be great. But they don't want to, so great. And I have to say, a real positive about COVID this year, it's 2020, end of 2020, a real positive about COVID was that when the schools were shut down in my town, the kids were at home full time. My son met really for the first time these two boys who lived two houses up. Even though they've lived there for years, since they were babies, they'd never connected on the street. That hadn't really happened. But here he is at 7, connects with the boys. They played every single afternoon. As soon as they'd finished their schoolwork that was given to them by their school, they were out playing every day, and they have developed this wonderful friendship that just wasn't there before. So now he's got 2 boys there, he's got 2 boys over across the road, and they play all the time, which is lovely. And we've got a week to go before they're home full time, and he's just like, ah! So that's nothing positive, you know, because these kids are so wound up with so much on their plates, with so many after school activities, that they just come home, have a shower, eat dinner, and go to bed. You know, they don't have the playtime that they've developed this year because of being thrust into home education. So it's really positive. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, we've so many more home educators now as a result of COVID. It's wonderful.
Oh, well, none of those people stayed as home educators. They weren't having a bar of it. But it's just that the relationship's been established, and now it's really solid, which is just fabulous.
Yeah, so great. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you one other thing. Ed Consultant, share a bit about that.
Well, Ed Consult was the business that I started. I launched it in December 2019, and home educators, they're not a well-off group of people, and I do wonder. I've done a hell of a lot of work. I use the website edconsult.com.au as sort of a pinboard of explanations, of information, of support groups or links, or certainly really heavily on the explanation of various issues such as TAFE New South Wales, such as how alternative pathways to tertiary education. I'm heavy in apprenticeships at the moment because I'm organising one for my daughter. The whole idea was, instead of repeating myself on Facebook support groups with the same answer over and over again for newbies that ask the questions, I would just pin the link and then they could answer the question there. And it was remarkable how many times, you know, I could just literally pull up a blog and answer their question directly. So I think I've nailed it from that point of view. I haven't really added to it much lately. I might get back to it. I've been busy with lots of other things that have been distracting me and probably made me feel a little, do I really want to volunteer this much time for the home education community? But that's just because of high conflict personalities that rattled my cage. But I have all this knowledge. If I can answer questions, I will. I do have, you know, a consulting business, and I have had clients that come to me and ask me to set them up for their first rego. Generally speaking, after you've got one of my regos, you don't need another one. And then, so I'm not, you know, I'm not a great businesswoman because I set them up so well, they don't need to come back. So it's like one off. So it's not a profitable business, I wouldn't say. But, you know, if people really do want to have an incredible peace of mind and step into home education from a place of, you know, opaque, have no knowledge about what is required legally and the structuring of it and all of this, and are genuinely fearful they're going to ruin their child's life, I can make all of that go away with a 1-hour consult, a registration document, and a follow-up. And that's basically the business. It's very straightforward, really.
Yeah. No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that's what you did. I wish I knew that when I started. Let me tell you, because it's overwhelming. It really is. But
I know. I was overwhelmed. I was horribly overwhelmed. You know, when my child was 13 years ago. But that is something, that is a really key lesson for parent teachers, or parent students, as I should call them.
Mm-hmm.